Should you rush to install iOS 10?
And will the government block overseas stores which refuse to collect the GST? Vertical Hold is proudly brought to you by Alcatel.
Welcome to Vertical Hold, the tech show where we channel surf through the headlines in search of the big picture. I'm Alex Kidman, and I'm joined by a man who's bricked so many phones he could build a house, Adam Turner. We're also once again joined by friend of the show, PC Mag editor Matthew Powell. Matthew, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, and I'm glad you've forgiven me for that other thing.
We won't talk about that other thing again.
Yeah, let's never
Adam,
speak of it again.
What's new in tech?
Streaming video giant Netflix is pushing the consumer watchdog to abolish monthly download caps in the US. So home and mobile users can all have unlimited data to spend on watching streaming video. The internet television needs of the average American is at least 300 gig per month, says Netflix, or higher for busy households or those watching Ultra HD video, something which is still out of reach for most Australians until the NBN reaches your doorstep.
If you're a customer of MVNO Lebara in Australia, you're now a customer of Vodafone, as it's purchased the Lebara business in Australia outright. It's been a long while since Vodafone had any kind of subsidiary brand, but the global reach of Lebara means that a Crazy John-style shuttering is unlikely for the local arm of Lebara. Maybe.
Millions of business users around the world were left in the lurch this week due to an outage in Google's Gmail for Work service, which left entire corporations unable to access their inboxes. The issue seems to be resolved, but it was a timely reminder of the risk involved in handing over critical business infrastructure to the cloud.
In the long-running saga of the Note 7, Samsung's set to launch an over-the-air update that would limit any Note 7s not yet returned to a maximum 60% charge. The only problem is, it's only launching the update so far in South Korea. Just a tip, Samsung, Australia does have something of a history with bushfires. You might want to think about that. So Adam, unlimited data caps. You can already get them on some fixed line plans. They don't exist on mobile plans, but Netflix wants them everywhere in the US. Is this something we should look forward to locally?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Netflix would like to see them everywhere, but the thing is that Australia and the US have started out using the internet a different way. In Australia, we started from day one with very small caps, mostly thanks to Telstra, and so we've got used to getting by on measly amounts and then being gradually given a bit more. Whereas in the US, a lot of the providers from early on just offered unlimited. You paid perhaps more for the speed that you're getting than the data. And remember, about nearly 10 years ago, everyone lost their mind when Comcast wanted to limit some people to 250 gig a month, at a time when, Australians would have killed for that amount. So they're coming from very different backgrounds. So while it sounds insane to us that they're arguing for that, in the US, what they're really saying is, look, most providers already do this, so can we stop the few who don't from doing it? But, like I said, there's a hell of a vested interest in there. What do you reckon? Matthew, what kind of download limit are you on at home?
Last time I checked, I was on a 1 terabyte plan, and Telstra gave me a bonus terabyte. So I think I've got 2 terabytes a month. I haven't come up against my cap for a while now.
Yeah, the bonus terabyte sounds pretty sexy.
It's essentially unlimited. I mean, I suppose I could start what do you call it? Pirate baying stuff, BitTorrenting stuff 24/7, and
all those Linux ISOs add up.
Yeah, they do.
I suppose, but for what I do, it's a sort of de facto unlimited plan. And I think that's not actually all that uncommon on sort of cable connections.
So
I think
that's a
people with ADSL may have a different thing.
Did you sign up for a terabyte, or were you on another plan and they put you up to a terabyte?
I signed up for 250 gigs actually, and it's just gradually worked its way up to a terabyte. And then one day they said, "Oh, we're doubling everybody's cap, so you get a bonus terabyte."
Terabyte is currently the top for Telstra and Optus, who are currently, of course, the only other cable provider do unlimited. Yeah. It's pretty common in fixed line, though, but not so much in mobile, and even in the States, actually. It's kind of interesting because you can get, theoretically, unlimited plans in the States on mobile, But this is because you don't have the kind of protections around the word unlimited there. So what they actually mean is unlimited access, but we're actually going to slow you to 2G style speeds once you hit a certain limit.
Yeah. We got that here as well, haven't we? The what do they call it? Shaping.
But you get that on fixed line. You don't get it on mobile. You either they just charge you a whole lot more for the data, or if you're on prepaid, your connection just drops out for data.
Yeah. But the ISPs here, it's like they're playing a bit of game of musical chairs waiting for the NBN. I found that everybody, if you're not on the NBN, if you're on cable, or particularly if you're on DSL, your providers keep upping your limits in the last couple of years. The reason why, I think, is because the budget providers are out there offering really good deals because they want to win you over. Because when the music stops and the NBN gets to your house, you'll probably stick with the service provider you're with. So they're offering you a cheap deal now to try and get you, which means the people who you are with now have to offer you a better deal to stop you defecting. Now, the telco that I'm with put up my allowance several times, but you only get that deal if you were an existing customer. So it's basically the golden handcuffs. Don't leave, because you can't come back and get this deal. We just don't want you to go anywhere else. Please stay with us till the NBN arrives. So I think that's kind of what's happening and why so many ISPs are offering more and more to DSL customers. So Alex, the iPhone 7 is here and iOS 10 is here as well, backwards compatible with a few earlier handsets. Have you had a play with it? What did you think?
Yeah, look, I mean, I've been playing around with the public beta version of iOS 10 for a while now on an iPhone 6S, and it's a pretty decent little upgrade. Although it's weird that they've polished iOS to a state now where it kind of feels like it's mission accomplished, and they're really just rearranging the deck chairs in a way, because there's so much stuff that they don't want to mess with, so they don't. And then there's other things where they have gone a little bit radical, a little bit different. I still love the idea that I can kill the stocks app. Like, I'm almost tempted to reinstall it just so I can uninstall it.
Kill it again. Yeah.
But I mean, at launch, I think a lot of people will probably upgrade, go, oh, it looks a little different. And depending on the device they've got and whether or not they've got access to some features or not, they might not see too much to it. Although there's also, of course, all the security stuff and the fact that they're opening up things like Siri to other developers and messages integration, and that could have a big impact, but probably further down the track once developers have got a better handle on it.
Yeah, for me, the fear with an iOS update is always that it's going to cripple older devices. This happened for years. It hasn't been so bad with the last few iPhones, but the first few iPhones, when they come out with the next version of iOS, the old iPhone was crippled for several updates before it came good again. I've put iOS 10 on my iPhone 6 and it seems to be okay, but I did it reluctantly because that sort of happened to me in the past. Matthew, you've been an iPhone user for a long time as well. Have you had to play with iOS 10 and sort of how have you found the upgrade process?
Well, look, I didn't want to dive in straight away because my experience with my experience with the last couple of the big ones, the 7 to 8 and the 8 to 9, was that initially there had been teething problems, and again that happened this time. It was apparently Apple jumped on it pretty quickly, where there was a problem where the upgrade process for over-the-air installations or over-the-air upgrades was bricking people's phones, or at least making it appear as if the phones were bricked until they were plugged into iTunes. So I did hold off until Apple said, oh yes, there was a problem, we fixed it now, it's all good. But I did upgrade last night, and look, so far, so good. There's a few things that are sort of oddly not working, and I don't quite understand why. For instance, when you're editing text and you tap on a word that you want to change because it's got an American spelling or whatever, or there's a typo, in iOS 9 you would tap on the word, it would highlight in pink, and then you would select replace, and up would come the replacement spelling. Do that in iOS 10, it selects in blue now. I don't know why we've changed the color for selecting, but there we did. And you hit replace, and nothing happens.
Okay, we'll get the boys right on that.
Because that's
someone's going to get fired for that. Yeah, that is real odd.
Can't say I've hit that one myself, but new operating systems are complex creatures, and certainly there is that reluctance to upgrade. Your point about the bricking things, also a good and kind of timely reminder that whenever you're doing these kinds of upgrades, the very first thing you should actually do is do a backup of your phone or your iPad or your iPod Touch, so that if something does go wrong, you've still got all that data.
The photos as well. Don't just trust the iTunes backup. Also, manually copy all the photos off using a camera app and put them in a folder. Because I've had iTunes lose its mind once. Look at a new...
Only once?
Look at it... no, more than once. But one time, look at an upgraded phone and say, oh, this is a new phone. And then wipe all the old backups so I couldn't restore the phone. This was a very long time ago, but it wasn't my phone. And the person who owned the phone was very, very, very unhappy. So now I, because I like being married, I now manually back up all the photos on the phone before I do anything like that. I've liked the notifications. I've been playing with it for a few hours, and the fact that you sort of got a bit more control over notifications and interacting with notifications on the home screen and the lock screen. I'm still feeling my way around, but I'm getting a feeling that to me is going to be the big improvement. And the flick right to launch the camera rather than stuffing around with this flick up thing, and just getting rid of the swipe to unlock, because that has a tendency to freeze up every now and then and you want to smash your phone on the ground. So I'm hoping that that's a step forward, but it's early days yet.
I like being able to add extra points of interest on a map, like when I'm navigating, if I'm going from point A to point B. And then I say, hey Siri, where's the nearest parking? It can sort of tell me, while it's navigating, it can figure out extra things,
right.
which it couldn't do before.
Yeah.
Like once you'd started navigating, you were stuck. You had to sort of stop navigating and go again.
Yeah.
Like start again. You don't have to do that now. You can add extra points, or while you're on the journey. Okay, I'm still going to such and such a place. How do I get to? I've got to drop into Dad's place on the way and pick something up.
Yeah.
Give me a new route, and it can do that now, which it couldn't do before. Which I think that's going to be very handy. I don't understand apps in iMessage. I think that's odd. Somebody thinks it's a good idea to be able to play chess using iMessage. I think if you want to play chess, chess.
Chess.
Yeah.
What a crazy idea.
I'm with you on that one. There's an awful lot of hype around the new stuff you can do in iMessage. And yes, look, it's new. And there are stickers and there are animations and there are apps and there's integration. And maybe there's some clever killer app that brings all these together in a way that, in 6 months from now, I'll go, God, how did I ever live without that? But right now, I admit, I don't send that many messages, and maybe that's it. But I'm just not feeling it. It's just kind of, look, if I want to send a text-style message, I'll do that. But otherwise, no.
I got an email from Evernote telling me that Evernote is now working with iMessage. Now, I haven't touched my Evernote account for a long time, but I'd be interested to see what that is and how that works. That could be useful for some people. Or if it could tap into other sort of third-party data repositories and cloud services and stuff like that, then I can see how it might be useful.
Yeah, there's a lot in there that looks to me like, solutions in search of a problem.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever sort of heard of anybody saying, the one problem with Evernote is you can't integrate it with iMessage. It's a great program, but I can't sort of send somebody a thing that I've saved in Evernote using iMessage. And how am I supposed to cope with that? I've never heard that complaint. Now, maybe I'm just moving in the wrong circles, but I sort of feel like there's a lot of features in iOS 10 that are not based on somebody needed something, but somebody thought, hey, we can put a hook from such and such an app into iMessage, and we'll convince people it's useful.
Yeah,
it's like the early days of trying to sell people personal computers and telling everybody you can store your recipes using a database program. It's like, buy a computer and we'll think of something for you to do with it.
Yeah.
It's much better to go from I have a problem, solve it, than check out the hook while my DJ revolves it or whatever.
I guess the thing is that nice. I guess the thing is that they've kind of solved an awful lot of the problems that people need a smartphone for. And at least with iOS 10, it's not as though they said, right, well, here, by and large, here is the new way that you must do this thing. It's just, here's an alternate way that you can do this thing. And of course, some of that, comes from the fact that they've got to support a fairly wide now, in fact, variety of devices. I mean, iOS 10 does have its cut-off points if you've got a much older device, but it's still, like, it's back to the Mini 2 and the iPhone 5, and you know, that's going back a reasonable way.
Well, I'd be reluctant to put it on an iPhone 5, just having seen what updates can do to older devices.
Oh, I wouldn't be rushing to do that myself, but
I'd wait for a couple of updates.
It can be done. Having to support that, saying, right, we're going to support all the way back to that, means they've got to keep those hooks for those devices to still be able to do the basic stuff, even though you might not get fancy 3D touch and things like that on a 5.
I think what Apple's way of doing things has been to release a new iOS 4 to run on the new devices, and then over the next few updates optimize it to run well on old devices. So the older your device is, the more I'd be tempted to... The longer
you should wait.
Yes. I'd wait for at least, 10.1 instead of 10.01 or whatever we got now to get over that bricking problem. Yeah, wait for Service Pack 1. If you're old school, you know what I'm talking about. wait for Service Pack 1 before you upgrade a really old device, I reckon. So speaking of...
Just a side note to this subject, when you install iOS 10, and also when you installed iOS 9, but when you install iOS 10, if you have an iCloud account, it'll tell you, iCloud now has two-factor authentication. We'd really like you to start using two-factor authentication. If you have an Apple TV, like the third-generation Apple TV, not the current one with all the apps.
Yeah, I've got one, a third-gen. Yeah.
But the third-gen Apple TV or older, don't do it.
Okay, what happened?
Because it doesn't support the two-factor authentication. I ended up in a frightening eternal loop, or an infinite loop, if you will, of being sent codes not working, having to log into my account again, being sent a code, the code not working, log into your account again, send a code doesn't work, over and over and over and over and over again, until I removed the two-factor authentication on iCloud, and then I could get back into my Apple TV.
Was this just for iTunes content, or generally? Because I've got a third-gen Apple TV myself.
This is for iTunes content. Netflix still worked. Everything else still worked, but the photos didn't work because that was linked to my iCloud account as well. The old remote app for the third generation Apple TV, you get sent a code. It's a 6-digit code for two-factor authentication, and then the remote app gives you four spaces to type digits in. So you can't actually type in a 6-digit code. It's mad. And this is not. It's not like this is a 10-year-old device or anything.
Yeah.
This is
it's
the thing.
Deliberate.
That was new
Apple are telling you to buy a 4th-gen Apple TV.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry.
No, I'm with you. I'm not saying that's the right thing.
This is not the most compelling reason to buy a 4th-generation Apple TV. The third
because they broke the
works
last
perfectly
one.
Well. Yeah, but two-factor authentication is not supported on the third-generation Apple TV, and so don't do it. But one thing in iOS 10 that I like, that I don't think has got very much attention, is you can change the intensity of the flashlight. If you use the LED on the back of your phone as a flashlight, it doesn't have to come on at full, brighter than the sun power anymore. You can actually step it down, so it's a little bit less intense. Which
I can see how that would be useful, looking for something in the middle of the night in the bedroom and trying not to wake up other people. Yeah. I can see how that would...
Like you, Adam, I also like being married, so this feature is a great one.
So, Adam, the federal government's indicated that it wants to get overseas retailers to collect GST on purchases that Australians make, and we've discussed their broad policy around that before, but they've always been a bit vague on what they do with companies that didn't collect GST or wouldn't collect GST, but it now appears that there is some kind of plan in place.
It depends on who you listen to. Choice magazine claims that the federal government will use mandatory filtering, basically, to block overseas websites which refuse to charge Australians GST as of the middle of next year. Now, Choice magazine says that its source is a Treasury official who surprisingly doesn't want to be named, and the Treasury official points out that the government can use the Telecommunications Act to do this. Treasurer Scott Morrison has come out and said, no, this isn't what we're going to do. They maybe don't want to go into too much detail, but I think he's right. I think it's a crazy idea. We're getting into the porn filtering and the piracy filtering all over again. Who will pay for it? How will it work? It'll be easy to beat. It would just be stupid for the government to try and do this. But it's interesting that the option is there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm reminded of that, that old quote of, how you tell a politician is lying because their lips are moving.
Pretty much, yeah.
Scott Morrison says a lot of stuff that I don't agree with, but that being said,
his lips hardly move.
They have some talented ventriloquists in the federal government.
Yes, I was going to say, yeah.
But that aside, it's one of those things that I think sounds like a great soundbite.
Yes.
We will block these businesses which won't charge GST, and this way we'll make up, huge holes in the deficit emergency that we seem to have every time we need to distract people from other horrible things that we're doing.
Look over here, over here, don't look over there. Yeah.
Exactly. It sounds great, but from a technical level, the implementation just seems insane. Because not only are there new businesses and new websites every day, and you'd have to block and filter against them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, your power to actually compel these businesses... I mean, it's been the same problem with this particular policy. The power to actually compel the majority of businesses, in fact, just isn't there if they're not based in Australia. And as a market, we're that small that in some ways a lot of them, if they even hit this problem, if they got spotted doing it, would probably just go, oh, it's just not worth it. Yeah, buy Australia, at which point... As consumers, we suffer because suddenly we don't have as much business choice and competition. So it's a very funny policy in a way for a party of, big business free choice to be pursuing.
Well, that's the thing. They argue that they're not pursuing it. And I think that Choice might be wrong here and that they're probably not going to do it. But the other thing is that, as we've seen with all other kinds of filtering, you only need to use a proxy server or a VPN or half a dozen other ways to trick that website to bypass that filtering and get to that website anyway. And then the only way they're going to catch you is if they actually physically pick up the parcel coming in to the country, or they go around and go through your mailbox each day and say, nope, you shouldn't have that. No, you shouldn't have that. So it will be so ludicrously easy to beat. And people like us will write stories about it, explaining how ludicrously easy it is to beat, that it's just not worth the hassle. Just going to say, Matthew, do you do much overseas shopping, and is the GST much of a factor there?
Look, honestly, I don't think it would play much of a role for me. I mean, most of the stuff that I buy overseas is stuff that is either difficult to get here or impossible to get here.
Yeah.
I'll buy things overseas that I can't buy locally. I don't usually sort of shop overseas with a view to, I'll save myself some GST. So it wouldn't make that much of a difference to me. I don't think it's going to be, but as you say, I don't think it's practical. I don't think that it's useful. I think it's the kind of thing that you say every once in a while to keep Harvey Norman happy. To say, we're defending local businesses, but it's a kind of protectionism by stealth, and I don't see the present government, or for that matter, the Labour opposition, interested in it.
Well, that just about wraps up another episode of Vertical Hold. Remember, if you've got any comments, hit us up in the comments section on YouTube, via Twitter, or the Facebook Vertical Hold page. Thanks to Matthew for joining us again for the show.
And thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening, everyone, and remember, if you like what you hear, hit that subscribe button. Vertical Hold is proudly brought to you by Alcatel. All right, so that was probably the best bit of the show, and it will never get to air. All right.